I don't hate a lot of people, but these guys are getting pretty close. Referees in college football, the officiating, I didn't think it could get worse, Josh. I couldn't think it got worse, but somehow it magically did. This last weekend, first of all, that Ryan Williams catch, the call in the Auburn game, I've never
the OPI?
I've never seen something like it. Josh, we got to fix it, man. We got to fix it. How do we fix it?
I think you'll be surprised to hear this, but so I've railed on this a little bit this year, and I am not the guy who complains about officiating. I hardly ever do it. I don't do the hot seat stuff, and I don't do blame officials because I actually think their job's really difficult, and I got respect for the guys who do it. I feel like they've been put in a no-win situation. So I think you'll be surprised to learn I've said that a lot this year. I've had white hats from 2 different crews in major college football come up to me before games and actually thank me for speaking out about it. Now, you would think that makes no sense because you're bashing the officiating. Why would the officials appreciate it? They know their process is broken. That's why. When you dive deep on this stuff, you find that it's just as big a mess and discombobulated behind the scenes. It's just as political behind the scenes as any branch of federal government. And so they explained to me in painful detail about how screwed up the certification process is and the different clinics you need to go to and how they're run by people, not so much because those people have earned the right through merit to run those clinics, but because it's backslapping and handshaking and they emphasize one thing here and another thing there. And they're not even clear what they're supposed to be focused on enforcing. And then you get to a situation like the Bama-Oklahoma game the other night, just an egregiously bad call. People from the space station could see Ryan Williams is not covered up. Okay. But the flag got thrown. Okay, so that's bad enough. That's not reviewable. That's not reviewable. We can review 12 guys on the field, but we can't review that. So that official, while he makes a terrible call, and that crew was the same one that embarrassed themselves in the Georgia-Texas game, and they ought not have even been in that position, but that's beside the point. It's not up to them to police themselves. No different than it's up to a 5th grader to stop himself from talking out of turn in class. Eventually, the teacher's got to slap the hand. And you would think that's what would happen. But in this world, it doesn't. You guys don't show up to work, or you show up to work and you start just jacking around all day. You get fired. I get fired. We get reprimanded. We get called out. Nothing happens here. And they'll come back and they'll say, oh, we deal with it. We deal with it behind the scenes. Well, no, you don't. And frankly, I don't even care if you do, because what you're doing behind the scenes doesn't work, because the same exact crews that I've seen for 20 years are the ones on the field every Saturday. And the same junk that we've had to settle for, we have to settle for every Saturday. And this is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise with this nickel and dime officiating branch. And it makes no sense. You would never build college football like this if you built it today. It's just that way. And you're still using guys that work at their dad's fertilizer farm Monday through Thursday to officiate games time, because that's why. Well, that's the way we've always done it. Great, guys. That's phenomenal leadership. It's wonderful.
Yeah, Josh, I want to see if you would put your name by this, kind of something that I put out there a while ago, and I just want to ask you, and there's a 5th point I've added to it. But before I even do that, it's first off, it's okay to complain about officiating when officiating is bad. Just like it's okay to complain about service at a restaurant if the service is bad. But make sure the service or the officiating is bad before you complain about it. I see somebody who I have respect for saying that, complaining about officiating, you should just never complain about officiating. Well, the team you root for, I probably wouldn't complain about officiating either if that was my team, the way it's gone down the last 10 years to me. But they have a hard job, they do. But you're not a coal miner, you're not a single mother in a bad economy, and even the coal miners get told they're doing a bad job when they do a bad job. So here are my 5 points. You can complain about it if it needs to be complained about. The first one, you make them full-time. You reference that. College football has the money. Officiating is probably the most important part of the game outside of the players actually playing the game. I can make the argument that the officials are more important than the play callers because they are the ones that designate what goes, how the game is played, whether that's football, basketball, whatever. The second, in-conference affiliation with officials. If you make them full-time, it's a very feasible thing. 3, you stop finding people for commentating on officiating. You can criticize everybody in the college football world except them. 4, you appoint an official press secretary for referees to answer questions weekly at a weekly press conference to explain things and dole out accountability for mistakes. I think you would take a big chunk out of any conspiracy theories by just having somebody come out there and say, listen, they screwed up here, this is why, or they didn't screw up here, this is why, this is how we're fixing it. And 5th, we should have a super challenge. It's one super challenge. You can challenge anything. I can't remember if it's the XFL or the UFL they did it. It is one challenge that if you use it, you only get it once. Even if you hit it, even if they say, no, you're wrong, you can challenge anything one time, and it's not like it's going to slow the game down for 3.5 hours. It's one super challenge. What say you on those accounts?
I would agree with all of them. I would love to hear just an honest to God official response from a league office.
Yeah.
Present those points to, the league office in the SEC or the Big Ten. I would imagine their response, well, when their PR firm got back to you 2 weeks later on written paper, their response would be, we can't subject officials to that sort of abuse. We can't allow that sort of scrutiny to befall our officials because it may damage the integrity of the game. To which I would laugh, wad it up, throw it in the garbage, and I would say, do you understand what the current way of thinking is amongst the public? If you watch what happened in that Bama-Oklahoma game, and that flag is thrown, in a world of proliferated legalized gambling, do you understand what the working theory is on how that stuff happens? You're telling me that's better than publicly excoriating officials every now and then? Like, seriously, I think there's a little detachment, and people at league offices are not understanding that it's not just some little whisper campaign that there may be something underhanded happening with these games. That is going to be mainstreamed, and I can't even argue with it if you don't take action and do something about it.
No, I agree with you 100%. Hey, YouTube, look, we're getting close to the playoffs. Stop messing around. Hit subscribe if you hadn't. If not, go be wrong somewhere else.